Welcome to another big match build-up show, and after a win in the Carabao Cup, Saints prepare to hopefully to clip some more wings at Crystal Palace this weekend. A win at Brighton on Tuesday night should hopefully breathe some confidence back into our Saints side. And if you are watching on YouTube and notice some heavy bags under my eyes, well, there is a story to that. A right old carry on getting to and from Brighton on Tuesday night. So we are powering through this after waking up at 6 o'clock for work this morning. But coming up on this week's show, Clive and I go down the pub as we speak to our special guest to talk Crystal Palace and Saints nostalgia with the Saints Archive Facebook group.
I think going into the Palace game, I'm always positive. I reckon we can do it. We're good at getting an away win as well. Everyone banging on about we haven't won a home game in quite a while. Who cares? We just need the 3 points. And once the 3 points,
it doesn't matter where it comes. We've got some incredibly skillful players. Wilfred Zaha can do more tricks than Tommy Cooper, but just like that, yeah. Oh.
And I also get the chance to get the lowdown from Palace fans. I ask, what has changed so dramatically in a year?
Quite simply, Roy Hodgson. He really has had an incredible effect since coming in last season. He's gone back to basics. He knows what works for him as a manager, over 40 years of experience. And he's just got the best out of these players.
So stick with us for the rest of the show for your important travel advice. More expected disruption on the railways this weekend. This time, Southwestern Railway expected to strike. And also stick with us for your important away pubs in and around Crystal Palace for Saturday's match. Do let us know where you're watching from, where you're listening from. If you are watching on YouTube, the episode is available to download in the card above my head. So let's get down the pub for this part of the show. So welcome along to our Saints versus Crystal Palace preview. Saints travel up to Selhurst Park at the weekend. And we've got another debutant on the show this week. I would like to welcome to the show, to my right, to your left, Will from the Saints Archive on the Facebook group. A fantastic group. And it's not just the reason why you're here to tell us about the group, but a big meet-up on September the 3rd, next Monday. First of all, Will, just tell us about your Saints history and what is the Saints Archive? The
Saints Archive was put together by myself sort of around about January, February of this year. Got a little bit depressed after last season. Rather than channel my anger into having been critical of the team and critical of the manager at the time, decided to set up a nostalgia page. It was a good friend of mine who lives in Glasgow. Had one set up for Glasgow Rangers, and they got about 40,000 members. So interested, sort of thought I'd give it a go, and and this is where we are now. We've close to 3,000 good members. Everyone seems to enjoy themselves, share videos, photos of past memories and what they've bought from the jumble sale, good finds and stuff. The meet up on the 3rd of September is essentially to raise a bit of money for the Saints Foundation. We've got Jazz from the Saints Foundation coming on down. We're auctioning off Pierre Højbjerg's shirt. Don't know if it's signed or not, but I know it's a player-worn one, and I believe it's McCarthy's boots as well. But there'll be other items as well, bottle of wine maybe, the usual knickknacks. All money, as I said, goes to Saints Foundation, and it's really just so we can all have a beer together, share the good times.
It is a wonderful cause, of course, the Saints Foundation, and the group itself is wonderful for perhaps people like me that didn't live through the 70s and 80s, and you always tell me how good those years were, Clive.
They were good, and they were, I started I don't know, around about 1970, going to games, and just those memories, and I could reel off the forward line straight away, and I couldn't tell you what we were playing last season, but I could tell you what was happening in 1970-71. Yeah, good times, bad times, but you stick with your team, and of course the amazing Dow that was such an iconic ground. The moves, all the things, and Will's obviously got involved with all those things that have happened. And my goodness, when you analyse it, so many changes. from standing in Milton Road, getting up to the ground, getting the number 3 bus from Sholing, standing outside the Milton Road, hoping you were going to get on the wall. If not, you'd be second row back. Otherwise you couldn't see the bloody game. So many memories, and Will's brought a lot of them back to life, and it's great. So thank you, Will, for your efforts.
No, it's fine. I mean, it's funny you should mention the memories of the past and football. Now, quite often it's not just the football I found that people remember, it's the trips there, the watering holes. Everyone always mentions a decent watering hole. I mean, I wonder why.
And the characters, really. The
characters that essentially, not just the players that play for the club, but the characters, the certain fans that generate their own sort of fame by following a club. So, I mean, before social media, these were guys and girls that were getting a name for themselves just because they were massive fans. And now they're on the group. Now they're looking back on things and answering questions to other fans.
I find one of the most rewarding things is over the years is seeing generations of Saints fans coming through. It's so nice to see that feeling for the football club continue through the generations.
It is wonderful, and people can go over to the group and learn more about the Saints' history as well. But I'd also like to say we're here down at the newest micro pub, the micro brewery in Southampton, the Crafty Fox, a wonderful place. Clive, this is your sort of place, isn't it?
Well, it's my sort of place, but I'm not sure about the title Crafty Fox after Saturday. I thought they were a bit crafty, nicking 3 points off us, but maybe we'll go on about that one.
We will touch upon that just ever so slightly. And they've got some amazing beers down here for reasonable prices, right in the heart of the Portswood High Street. Of course, we are here to look forward to the Crystal Palace game, a trip to Selhurst Park. I mean, Will, what have you made of the season so far? There's
an element of nerves from, particularly from fans, and rightfully so. Last season is one that a lot of people would like to probably forget. Being in charge of the archive, I may show some footage from that season. But we've got to go into this season and believe it's early days yet. Mark Hughes needs the time, and we need to give him a bit of respect and that time to formulate a team and get used to things. I reckon we can turn things around. It's just nerves. We've all got that bad season in the back of our heads, and we really got to sort of think, no, start fresh, draw a line in the sand, and start thinking this is a new team. That what's gone is gone. This is now, and just chill out a bit. We play the game of football and enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think some people are already jumping the gun. 3 games in, been a bit hasty, and perhaps we are stuck in some bad habits.
We are definitely, and it's all about confidence. But some of the comments I've seen are just assassination of certain players. Yeah, it's a team thing. If you analyse the goals that we conceded, a lot of people are shooting Cedric down. Actually, Cedric's 2-on-1 in the box. It's a mistake by Hoyt that's led to the first goal in the first place. Cedric's header wasn't great. He should have either put it out for a corner or left it. Probably didn't get the call from the guy behind, Moisey, but it's Moisey. I'm going to call him Moisey because it's easier. The defending that's let us down. The actual performance was the best for a very long time. It was positive. We were taking the game to Leicester. All right, we didn't score the goals, and it's massively disappointing at the end of the day. But when I look at the performance and people are saying, "Oh, Mark Hughes is the wrong guy," already, for goodness sake, give the guy a chance.
Yeah, and the bottom line will be that it is another game from a winning position that we've gone on to.
These things. I mean, there's been times in our history, in particular, where we've had bad run of things, and all it takes is one good win, and you'll notice straight away the confidence in that dressing room builds up. Yeah, I mean, we could all get really frustrated about things, but the key thing is we all know what happens with our side when the fans get behind them, and they play well. When we're not getting behind them, and like with anything, if you've not got the support, then what's the point of playing? I mean, yes, they're on good salaries and everything else, but it's about the fans, and if they're all cheering and everyone's being really putting their effort in as a supporter, the decency of the football will show at the end. I mean, I believe, considering the fact that Redmond over the last season or two has come under some horrible abuse social media wise,
and during the games,
and terrible, and to put in the performance which he did at the weekend, I believe that was a really good performance by the lad. Really impressed by him, showed a really good attitude, and I think it's about time, instead of getting on in their cases, we actually give them what we are, supporters, as in genuine support. We need to, we can be critical. We're entitled to our opinion as people that pay for season tickets, go game week in, week out. But I don't see how, if you were in your job and your boss was constantly critical of you all the time, you wouldn't want to be there anymore, would you? And
no,
it's the same with these guys, I believe, as well.
I think there was a realism in the expectations of this season that we weren't going to be, hovering around the top 6 or the top 10 even. But it's about, when things go wrong, it's about staying together and having a little bit of fight. I understand the disappointment, but bolting for the exits is, it's frustrating.
I've never been able to understand it, and I apologise. Your team's playing until the whistle's blown, not, oh dear, I've got to go off and beat the traffic. I mean, we've seen case in point some years ago. Although I can't stand Manchester United. Manchester United under the Alex Ferguson era would be a team that would play until the final second of the game. Champions League final in '99, case in point. We as fans can't just walk out of a game because we're goal down. We need to be there to the end. And where have you got to go that's in such a hurry? I mean, it's a Saturday. The weekend, the pints are still going to be cold when you get to the pub.
I get it, but I also get the thing, unfortunately, we said earlier today about facts and figures, Freddie, and statistics, that unfortunately we've lost 24 points from winning positions since the beginning of last season, is it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Bournemouth have actually won 24 points from when they've been behind. So that tells you a story about the character of the team. And I kind of, as much as I want fans to be on side, I get the frustration, but somewhere you've got to realise where we're at.
Yeah, I think it's a case that just a win would give us a bit of confidence. And we go into this game, this will be our 4th game in the league, without a win. At this time last year, we played Crystal Palace. They were 5 games in without a goal and without a win.
I'd love to get a win over Roy Hodgson, particularly for, the car crash World Cup and European Championships that we had, and his total attitude of, well, it's not my problem, I'm leaving now, bye. I do like playing against London teams, particularly who doesn't like beating a London team. I've got great faith in this Saints side. They played well at the weekend, and I sure think that things are going to turn around.
Yeah, and Clive, if we go into this international break without a win, without many points, we are already playing sort of catch-up football.
I think we already are, Freddie. Tough situation. We're in an unforgiving league. I just hope there's no mad panic, because other than the defensive side, and I don't just mean the back four, I mean the midfield and the defence, the performance against Leicester was pretty damn good up to a point. We just gave it away in bad positions. We can't afford to do that. Everybody knows that in the Premier League you will get punished.
And we go into this game, with only 1 point on the boards. And in January, it was another example of a winning position going on to lose. And then in that game, it was Shane Long that scored his first goal in over a year and a half. Hopefully, we can cross our fingers, cross our toes for another Shane Long goal this weekend.
No, I like that. No, I like Shane. I think work rate wise, as a player, he bombs around that pitch and he does it all day long. But the goals aren't happening. And I don't think, we need a decent cup run. It'd be nice to have another one again. They're always good fun. Gabby Adini, obviously match fitness is there, or even give a chance to somebody, one of the youngsters. I mean, it does seem to be that we're loaning them all out at the moment.
It was a surprise omission, or a surprise selection, should I say, for Shane Long last weekend.
I kind of got it because he was up against what's his name, the Leicester centre half,
Wes Morgan,
who's got much better pace. I kind of got that, but I didn't get that. Was Gabby actually failed a fitness test? Is that right? Or
so I hear he and Yoshida.
An official line on that one?
It's blurred lines, to be honest, Clive. At 1:30, apparently he and Yoshida both failed a fitness test.
Right.
So whether they play on Tuesday night is another story in itself, or it could just be a fact that another rumour's going around that they may even be off in the next few days.
Well, that would be a terrible situation, because I think he is class, and I think if you play in the right way and you give him the right service, he'll give you the goods. Hasn't happened so far. He saved us last season. Scrappiest goal in history, but he saved us.
Now available on the archive.
The things you have to do on Facebook to get that on.
But we need a win, I think, just to squash these sort of doubts and squash any sort of anxiety. But it's not going to be easy. Roy Hodgson's got them organised, got them structured, and they're a tough team to beat.
Premier League, you said it is a difficult league, and I don't think there is any easy games. Palace certainly isn't going to be one of them, particularly in their own stomping ground as well. But we got to win, plain and simple. And the guys have got to take the positives from the weekend, and the positives as well. I thought for a good part of the game they played well. They've got to learn from the mistakes that they made, i.e. switching off when you're in a leading position to just go and throw the game away like that. Was a Maguire goal fluky or not? He saw something, he took a punt and it went in. It was a game we should have won, and I think going into the Palace game, I'm always positive. I mean, I reckon we can do it. We're good at getting an away win as well. I mean, everyone banging on about we haven't won a home game in quite a while. Who cares? We just need the 3 points, and once the 3 points
it doesn't matter where
confidence.
it comes.
Yeah, it's almost like sort of Nick's old catchphrase from last season. We're like a bottle of ketchup. You just keep hitting it. It's not going to come out.
I know, Freddie. Look, Palace are decent. I think I watched the Liverpool game and they were pretty unlucky in that game. They've got some incredibly skillful players. Wilfred Zaha can do more tricks than Tommy Cooper. But
just like that.
Yeah. Oh. But he overplays and he does dive. And I did think Roy was a little bit precious when he was blaming the Watford mascot for imitating Wilfred Zaha's diving. I thought that was a little bit precious. I mean,
it's pantomime.
Come on, that's banter. That's a bit of fun. It's what the game's about. And if you can't have fun, then it's got to a pretty sad state. I think the Premier League is a bit sad, but we've got to, in terms of getting a point or getting 3 points back from Palace, we've got to show a lot of character.
I mean, another thing, we're still not sure what our strongest 11 is, though. I mean, we got to expect there's a lot of changes on Tuesday night at the Amex. I mean, I think we simply have to play our goal scorers next Saturday.
Who they are, and seeing as we don't really have a lot of goals racking up at the moment, it's a hard one. But I'm a big fan of Gabbiadini, which we'll probably learn over the time we spend. For me, he's an underutilised player. He's got quality, and when played, as you said, when played in the right position, he can do the business. Consistency would be nice. I mean, he might not score in the next game, but just keep him on, and builds confidence. Gets him a good run of games out there.
You've got to assume that the players that play on Tuesday night, that they perhaps may not be near the first team on Saturday.
I just think we're gonna be put under the cosh. There's going to be periods of the game when they're right at us, and that's the time when you've got to show your character, and you've got to be a lot tougher in defence. If it has to go Rose Ed, it has to go Rose Ed. It's going to be a tough afternoon.
They've got some danger men, of course. Wilf Zaha, a big pressure on his shoulders for him to deliver. But let's try and wrap this up then, chaps. Let's have a prediction from both of you. Will first.
Unfortunately, I do believe we'll concede, but I reckon they're going to be 2-1 Saints.
I'm sorry, guys. At the moment, and I might say different after Brighton, but I can't see anything but a defeat. I hope I'm completely wrong, and I hope that the players can show enough character to go and get a result there.
Yeah, difficult times, and I think going into the international break, you have to assume that Mark Hughes will kick him up the backside and motivate them coming back for the Brighton game in the Premier League.
Well, I'm hoping a bit of the old Mark Hughes, the Alex Ferguson hairdryer treatment might be in him still. He might want to give it out a bit.
We hope so. And before we go for this part of the show, we'll just remind everybody where we can find you.
Certainly, you can find Saints Archive on Facebook, just Facebook for now. Literally type in the Saints Archive in the search. It's not a direct sort of entry group. You will need friends that are either already in there or myself or one of the admin team to let you in. Obviously, there's rules and stuff. We don't tolerate swearing, and we don't tolerate rudeness to other supporters. All we want is a good group of people to have a good chat and enjoy the videos and photos that are in there.
Excellent stuff. And the meet-up is this Monday, £5, and all of that money will go straight to the Saints Foundation.
Yep.
And before we sign off, remember, do check out the Crafty Fox in Portsmouth, on the brand new micro pub in the area.
So big thanks to Will for coming over from the Saints Archive, the Facebook group. And if you are interested in a trip down memory lane and sharing some nostalgia, do join us on the Facebook group, or why not head down to the Handball Club this Monday night and share some more memories. All the proceeds and the money on the door will be going towards the Saints Foundation, so a very worthy cause. But now is your time for your important match day advice. Now, starting off then with your travel news, and after Tuesday night's debacle, we've got to look forward to more train strikes and disruption this weekend. Southwestern Railway this time are expected to be on strike. We're not sure of the complete details just yet, but do check before you travel. There might be some disruptions in the mornings, afternoons coming back from London, but I would perhaps consider going an alternative route on the southern trains via East Croydon from Southampton Central. You'll actually save yourself about a tenner, but it does add an extra hour to your train journey. And after Tuesday night's exploits, perhaps I'd consider even trying to drive the train yourself to make sure you do get there. And you can read all about that. I wrote a little piece in our blog, and you can read about it in the card above my head or in the link in the description. It was a case of a carry-on film, just missing a Sid James and a Bernard Breslow. But moving on to our away pubs then this week, and a popular choice usually when you go to Crystal Palace will be Thornton Heath's Wetherspoon, the Flora Sanders. Now that has since closed down and is now a gym. I can't quite work out why it's changed. I'll leave that to you guys to decide at home. Now I suggest maybe if you are going via East Croydon, head into Box Park, or there is another Wetherspoon about 400 metres down the road from the train station, or perhaps if you're going direct towards the London line, head towards Clapham Junction, where there's a host of pubs, takeaways around the station there. Or alternatively, you can check out Southampton away travel for some coach travel towards Crystal Palace. A link, of course, down in the description once more. So now is my time to move on to the conversation with the opposition this week, as I find out all things Palace with Jim from the 5-Year Plan podcast. So welcome along to our opposition view part of the show. Saints take a trip to Selhurst Park this Saturday. So here to tell me more on the Eagles is Jim, once again from the 5-Year Plan podcast. Good to see you again, mate. How you doing?
I'm very good, mate. Always good to see you.
You know, your season hasn't started too badly. I mean, a win on the opening day away at Fulham, you know, a spirited sort of solid defensive display against Liverpool, and then a sort of 2-1 loss at Watford at the weekend. How would you summarise the start of the season?
Well, I mean, that's a win, a defeat, and a draw. No, it's not. It's a win and 2 defeats. Damn it. It's only 3 points on the board, but it's definitely a more solid start than last season. Obviously, I mean, 7 defeats and no goals was unprecedented. It's not too bad. The performances have been okay. I think if you'd have spoken to me before the Watford game, I'd be in a bit better spirits. The second half against Watford was slightly worrying. There were more questions thrown up from that 45 minutes than I think there has been in the previous 2 games. But nothing kind of pressing, nothing terrible, you know, nothing kind of Frank de Boer-esque. You know, I think we're looking okay. We've got a good squad. There's questions over system and personnel, the usual kind of things that, you know, we always talk about. But it's okay. Being a Palace fan, you're always ready for the next drama or the next thing to screw up. And at the moment, it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. You know, anything could happen. Roy could quit or something, you know, but at the moment, things seem very kind of solid and level-headed. And as a Palace fan, that's really all we can ask for.
Yeah. Hodgson seems to be the captain of your ship, and should the captain leave, you know, maybe this ship could sink. But I mean, as you say, this time last year, you could barely muster a goal, let alone a win. I mean, what's changed so dramatically in a year?
Quite simply, Roy Hodgson. I mean, he really has had an incredible effect since coming in last season. He's gone back to basics. He knows what works for him as a manager, you know, over 40 years of experience. And he's just got the best out of these players. He's quite conservative. You know, he's gone back to a 4-4-2. At the weekend, we changed to a 4-3-3 in the second half, and that's when we played better. But Roy knows what he likes, and I think he'll probably go back to a 4-4-2 when we play you guys. But he's just got these players believing, and I know that's such a cliche. I said that when Pulis came in. You know, I said that when Pardew come in. You do feel like you're saying the same things each time these managers come in. But with Roy, there's something a bit more solid. There's something a bit. I feel more confident with Roy as manager. I feel that whatever kind of problems this squad faces, be it, the injury crisis we had last season, which was pretty significant, or even a bad run of form, or our striker, not scoring goals, which obviously happened for the entirety of last season. I feel like with Roy, we've always got the chance of tackling it head on and being okay. So that really is the big thing for me. And I think a lot of Palace fans feel a bit more confident with Roy in charge.
Do I almost forgot you had Tony Pulis in charge a few years ago. But Roy Hodgson, you've become a very tough team to beat. You comfortably finishing mid-table, well above us by sort of 12 points or so, and unbeaten in the final 6 games. Is it going to be more of the same this season? Some pundits are expecting even bigger things.
I can see why they're thinking that, and it's lovely to be, considered for, I think, was it Gary Neville said top 7 maybe, maybe we could be the Burnley of this season. I think that's getting a bit ahead of ourselves. Last season was a real slog and a terrible start. Yes, we want to finish mid-table or higher. Yes, we want to finally kick on after 6th season in the Premier League now. You don't want to be in that relegation battle. Every season we get dragged into it when we think we're doing okay, and it's really tiring. It's really, really tiring. I almost just want a kind of very average mid-table season, which I think this squad is more than capable of, especially considering the signings we brought in the summer. So I'm hoping it's going to be more of the same of the second half of last season when Roy just got us playing very solid. We were very good away from home, and we just maximised those players' ability. You never know in the Premier League. We could go on a bit of a run and do a bit of a Burnley. I don't think we will. I think we'll finish 10th or 11th, and I'll be quite happy with that.
Yeah, there's a couple of big signings in the summer, and just kind of to link on to what you said, to maximise some of the players. Max Meyer,
very nice.
He's popped up with an assist at the weekend. Big money wages expected, apparent for his contract, but also big things expected from, of course, Wilf Zaha, a contract extension signed earlier this month.
Yes, I think, to be honest, keeping Wilf was probably the signing of the summer, to be honest, when you think about how good he is and how important he is to Palace. I know people outside the club think that he's a talented player, but maybe, a bit of a flop at United, or goes down too easy, or isn't really as good as we think he is. But for Palace fans, he's so important because not only is he insanely talented, I think he's probably the best player I've ever seen at Palace. And I know that sounds like hyperbole, and I've only been watching since 1991. But he's a South London boy. He loves Palace. He's so passionate. All the petulance that people see on the pitch really is him, because he just wants to win so badly. He just loves winning, and he can't deal with it not going his way. And that comes out in petulance sometimes. But he's a very, very, very important player to Palace. If he has a great season this season and leaves for 100 million, 90 million in the next summer, he'll go over the wishes of most Palace fans, I think. We don't expect to keep him forever. He's only 25. But Max Meyer's a really interesting one. A player that's got a lot to prove. Like you said, was tipped as the next big thing in Germany, and similar to Wilf, kind of reported attitude problems, meant he ended up leaving Schalke on a free. Palace seem to thrive when we sign players that have got something to prove. Andros Townsend signed from Newcastle, Johan Cabaye signed from PSG, and these are the sort of players that in the environment of Palace and Selhurst Park and under the right manager can really get back to their best. And from what we saw of Meyer, so that was he came on against Liverpool very late, but at Watford that was the first time I've really seen him for, I think it was 20 minutes really, so a significant amount of time. He's definitely got ability. We played him out left, I think, of a midfield 3. Whether that's his best position, I don't know, and I'm sure Roy's still working it out. But the guy's got ability, definitely. If we can get the best out of someone like Meyer for a couple of seasons on a free, I think we'll have done very well. And from what I've seen so far, there's definitely a player in there.
When people say Palace's best players, you always think about the forward attacking players: Zaha, Benteke, Townsend. The time that we're recording this and kick off on Saturday, we've got to do our best Mystic Meg impression. You've got to go to Swansea City away in the League Cup. Are there expected to be some cup rotation and back to a sort of full fitness, strongest side on Saturday?
Swansea's going to be an interesting one because there are some fringe players who I think should and could probably play. Kouyaté, who we signed from West Ham, who we haven't seen much of, I think should play, to be honest. Andre Ayew, going back to Swansea. Was it him? Did he play for Swansea or was it Jordan? I can never remember.
Both of them did.
Oh, there you go. He needs a game. I thought we'd see him actually at Watford late on. We needed someone to stretch their defence late on, and I thought we'd see him. We didn't. I think he'll play. And there's a few other fringe players as well. I think Jason Punchin, we might see some of him. So yeah, I think, Roy's got things to work on. That second half at Watford threw up so many questions. I mean, we were good in the first half, should have been 2-0 up, and then second half they came out and they pressed us, and we just about 10 yards further up the pitch, and we just suddenly didn't know what to do. We looked panicky on the ball, and it was simply a team just pressing us a bit more. Decore played about 10 yards further forward and just caused havoc. So Roy's got some work to do there on how to sort of deal with that. But I think there are some fringe players that need to be played, really. This is a squad game, and in the Premier League, it's not just your first 11. You end up using that whole 25. I don't even think 25 is enough sometimes when you've got injuries. So I think we'll definitely see some of those boys playing, and maybe even push for a starting place. I'd quite like to see Kouyaté possibly start against you guys. So I think if he has a good game on Tuesday, that could happen.
Yeah, Kouyaté, another one that's gone under the radar this season for the summer transfers. Big player for West Ham, but you've also got Wan-Bissaka returning from suspension. He's been somewhat of a revelation so far this season.
He is unbelievable, and we love at Palace a youth team player coming through. It's why we love Zaha so much. And really, Wan-Bissaka is the first player since Zaha to break through and really keep a place in the first team. And bear in mind, he's only played 8 first team games for Palace and already looks like a kind of seasoned, experienced pro. He sort of manages, he's 21, I think. He manages to look sort of 17 and 27 at the same time, sort of like a young kid, but also like an experienced fullback. He's very confident. He's very assured on the ball, very level-headed. I think if we sort of play this one right, he could go on to be a very established Palace right back for years. I remember we had Nathaniel Clyne come through a few years ago and obviously went on to play for Liverpool and England.
And Southampton.
And Southampton, of course. Yeah, of course, Saints. I think he's better than Clyne, to be honest. I really do. Clyne was obviously a very good player and took a while to settle. Wan-Bissaka settled so quickly. Maybe it's something to do with the fact he was a winger and they moved him back to fullback in the youth team, and he's just thrived there. He's so quick at getting back. He's got these long telescopic legs that just come out of nowhere. He made a tackle against Mane on Monday where Mane was basically in the box and suddenly this leg came out of nowhere, got the ball and he got a goal kick somehow. I mean, he's incredible at doing that. There's definitely more to his game. He needs to improve in certain areas, but I think we've really got a sort of star in the making here. And we did miss him, to be honest, at Watford on Sunday. Joel Ward is a very, very competent player, but you do miss something when Wan-Bissaka isn't there. And Wardy did miss a last-minute header as well, which probably should have scored. So there you go.
Well, Joe Ward's a pantomime villain in our end. Obviously,
of course, he's ex-Pompey, isn't he?
Of course he is. Yeah, we love to give him a bit of stick. So maybe, hopefully, Joe Ward plays so we can give him a bit of stick on Saturday. So all that being said, then Jim, let's have your score prediction, mate.
Okay, I think it'll be tight. Like it was Roy's first game last season when Saints came to Selhurst, and it was very tight then. I think it might go down to the odd goal as well. You've got some players that could threaten us. We were linked with Danny Ings in the summer, and I'd have really liked to see him come in, and I think he could cause us some problems. I think we'll see a reaction to I hope it's a cliche, isn't it? I hope we see a reaction to the Watford second half because we were poor, and at home Roy has really turned us around, and we have finally, hopefully, making Selhurst a bit of a fortress. Although the Homestead fanatics have disbanded, that is a whole debate for a different video. I'm going to go for 2-1 Palace.
All right, good stuff then. I don't like the sound of that, but tell everybody at home where we can find you.
Okay, so Palace-wise, should you want to watch Palace stuff, we have FYP TV, which is a YouTube channel. We also have a podcast as well, 5-Year Plan podcast. And I do my own YouTube comedy football stuff, which is youtube.com/Jim Daly Comedy, which is loads of football silliness and that kind of thing. Should you need a respite from the craziness that is the world of football.
Great stuff. And Jim, we'll catch up at the weekend, mate.
Nice one, bud. Yeah, see you then. Looking forward to it.
Cheers.
So big thanks for Jim for coming over from the 5-Year Plan podcast. Remember to check out all their channels for all your Palace needs. But that does pretty much call full time on this week's episode. Do get involved in the conversation. Leave your predictions, your thoughts, anything's in the comments or on the usual social means if you have anything to say about this weekend's match. Big thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see you at Selhurst Park. Come on, you Saints.